If you were curious about the 2024 Las Vegas market, you are in luck. This bonus episode is all about Las Vegas, and Diana Rushton went and did all the walking so you don't have to, and is sharing all the details with us so you'll feel like you were there too. So the questions: color, are we getting rid of grayscale? Are blues still here, or are there other colors that are showing up? Are the 1970s colors back? Small details, what's something that is catching our eye? And which market should you go to, Vegas or High Point? Well, Diana specializes in project management and interior design, and we are so lucky to have her on our team. She likes that the partnership between project management and design work fulfills her lifelong love of art and puzzles. Diana feels she's found her true calling with 15 years of experience in brick and mortar, e-commerce, residential, and commercial design. Make sure and stay tuned to the end to find out if this week's colorful question is yours. Hello, Di, and welcome back to the show. We're so glad
Hi,
you're back.
I'm so excited.
We're so glad you're here because you're back from Vegas. You saw the trends and saw all the fun happenings. And
So
I know
fun.
this is kind of a cheesy question. Was it everything you hoped for?
It was everything I hoped for and more. It was probably one of the
Yay.
better Vegas markets that I've had. Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Okay, so what made it so great?
I think what made it great is because going to the different showrooms and really focusing on what trends that we're seeing that like we had even forecasted last time I went to market versus now, like to see that all kind of filter in and trickle into some of these bigger manufacturers was encouraging to see that all like come to fruition. And so that was like really rewarding and just exciting because it's going from a lot of those grayscales into the warm scales that we were talking about. And it's like, I'm excited as a designer to
Yes.
like be able to just freshen it up a little bit. And new is just fun and exciting. So it was life-giving for sure.
Oh, I love that. I always say you can't pour from an empty cup. You got to go and you got to fill up your cup. If you're feeling like your cup is dry, which I've certainly had in my career,
Yeah.
I mean, after almost 20 years, dryness happens and you just have to go somewhere and have that reinvigorated. I know when I walk a market, it feels really good. Just even going to an art gallery helps. You got to fill up the cup. I'm glad to hear this one filled up
Yeah.
your cup because then
Yeah.
you bring all of that to our
That's really
projects,
good.
which we just absolutely love. I love that. I really do because I see the difference. And it's just fun to see the new trends integrate in and see what you're coming up with. Okay, color. You mentioned that we're getting out of grayscale, which is so overdue because the 2008 Great Recession that precipitated all the grays, because we know that there's a direct link between economics and between color. I mean, my gosh, it's been almost 20 years. Like, we got to say goodbye at some point. And it's not necessarily goodbye, right? It's more of a tweak. We're seeing those grays navigate towards
hmm
warms. I mean, everyone's going to say, too, I don't want to see beige. Please tell me beige isn't coming back, though, either.
I would call it oatmeal. I don't, it's not like the like old school, like beige vanilla, like with the yellow undertone that every like contract grade,
Yes.
everything has painted on the walls. It has like more texture to it. So it's like, it's beige, but also like caramel swirled in there. And it has pops of
Mm,
texture and a higher pile and the
mm,
tweeds and just like the overall feeling of it is a more luxurious feeling rather than just being like a flat beige or like a typical linen. So I feel like the textures have really elevated as far as like in the furniture space and even in like the accent cabinet. So like there was one piece that really stood out to me that it was an accent cabinet. It had like a warm walnut
mm.
finish on top, I believe, but the front of it was almost like a sandblasted look. So it almost looked like stucco
Pretty.
and it was beige and it had like this really cool kind of hand plastered look. And I was like, yes, if you're gonna do like a two-tone kind of more Southwest inspired vibe, like get the color and the texture right. And they really did. So it's more of a beige in that regard that it is warmer, but it's not yellow.
I love that. And as you're hearing Di talk about these trends, she took pictures of these trends so you don't have to imagine them, that we're going to put into the studio. And check out the show notes. We have a whole back end studio for you, and that will be in there so you don't have to try to envision this. We're going to give it to you. We want you to have access to this. So Di graciously has imagery of all this. So if you didn't go to market, you get to feel like you did go to market and you know what's going on. I love that textures are coming back. It's interesting. I was talking to our cohorts in Italy, and they were actually saying that the boucle and all of the heavy textures cycled for them about 2 years ago. And so I'm curious to see, they're more into linens now, and not just like linens like you picture linen pants, but it's got more like fibrous. There's still texture to it. It's just not as much. And I were you seeing any of that yet? Or are we still really into the heavy textures here in the States?
We're still in that like boucle phase. I feel like some of the new introductions still had that really heavy look to it. I don't think it was as prevalent across all of the manufacturers, but it was still there. It's really come away from being like the entire sofa to being like the accent pieces, so like a chair or a bench or like an accent ottoman. So, but I was still seeing them, so they're still here, and I still think they're cozy, and pops of it, I think, are still going to be around. I just feel like it's going away from like the full-on sofa being that fabric.
Yeah, I was trying to tell my sister, who was telling me that I have a fleece jacket that has other fabrics in it. I'm like, no, I like to think of it more as like Sherpa kind of meets boucle fabric for a coat. I'm like, no, it's not fleece. It probably is fleece. But yeah, it's fun to see the textures. It's a true story. Yeah. Let's talk about the colors, accent colors. We have been, I think the grays precipitated the blues for so long. Navy blue, marine blue, teal blue. I mean, every blue and green undertone, but I wouldn't say green. It's really just strong blues for a really long time. What did you find when you were out there this time?
So the blue's still there in some of like the bigger pieces. Like, I don't think it will ever go away. Like, obviously it's a staple, but with all of the accent pieces and even sofas and some bed frames, yellow. And it is like anywhere from vibrant yellow to like more of a golden yellow, but it's done really well and it's super fun and vibrant. So yellow's around, orange, like a burnt orange, not like a bright neon, but like a burnt orange.
Thank you.
Very Southwest. Yeah. Very rich. It's not like, it's very fall-esque. It's not neon by any means. So orange is around, and then green is in all the shades. I saw this one chair.
Emerald,
I'll put it in the
everything.
The collage. Emerald, jade, all of it. And there was one that it was like more of an emerald, like emerald jade combo. Like, it was the most beautiful color, but the piping around it, they did neon pink. It was the coolest thing. And like a mix that in my heart was like, if you would have just verbally told me, I would have been like, that's
cute.
Interesting. Like, not my style. I don't know. Yeah. Like, that makes me a little nervous. But when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, no, this is great. Like, this is like, perfect. Like, they nailed it. So I'm excited to show y'all that one. But yeah, it's nice to see the green, the orange, and the yellow come and just add some color and a little bit of life back into it that helps like the sea of beige, gray, and brown that are just everywhere. So we can have a little bit of fun with it.
Which I absolutely love. And on those yellows, I feel like the mustard yellow has been around for a really long time. Is that still the case, or is it more like a goldenrod? Like, which way is it bending?
I've seen it both, but I think it's more of a goldenrod, like almost like if antiqued gold was a fabric. Like, that is kind of what I was saying. And I have a color swatch of that too. But even like, just like with the greens, like I saw a few different shades of yellow, a few different shades of orange. But it was updated. Like, it wasn't pastel. Like, it wasn't like 1960s pastel. Yeah. It was more like 1970s, like antiqued gold. So it was beautiful. Like, and I'm not normally like in my own personal life, like I'm not usually a color person, but I'm like, when I saw some of those, I was like, yep. Okay, sign me up. I can do it. I'll add a couple of those pieces.
For those of you that don't know, Di's favorite color is black. By far, I think I can say. It's all the colors smushed. Yeah, it's all black all the time. No, she's great at integrating color. But like, which I sympathize with because if you've been watching this webcast for any period of time, that's all I wear is black. And we go really big on a day we do like an emerald green. Speaking of those greens, I want to go back to that avocado green. You referenced 1970s colors. Avocado, is that part of the green across the spectrum? Are we seeing avocado come back? No way. Yep. I did not expect that. Yep. Okay. So it's all coming back.
I like it. I'm here for it.
If it's done right, it's like anything. You can pull off anything if it's done right, which is such a huge, Okay, let's talk about the small details. Lots of small details coming out of Vegas. Tell me about them.
The two that really stood out to me are an overflow arm. So that small detail in the accent chairs, it's like where they're taking the fabric and they are truly like overlapping the arm of it, but it's all one piece. And it truly looks like an overflow. So I saw that in a few different manufacturers. It's just like a cool line, a little bit more artistic, without just being like your typical block arm or like your rolled arm. So it was fun to see the spillover of all of that. And a lot of them too, like on a manufacturing side and as like designers, to know that most of those pieces are coming fully assembled, so that your team, when they're doing installs and setup, like they're not going to be like, how am I supposed to get this metal arm or this wood arm over, like in my head, I always go back to a little bit of the operations side because, the execution of it needs to go just as smoothly as the pitching. Right. So it was interesting to see that a lot of people were highlighting like this ships as one. Don't get freaked out that this is going to cause issues with your install team. So that was cool. And then the second one was fluted. So we're seeing that in tile everywhere. But I was seeing it in coffee tables. So coffee tables, it was like the second layer finish of a lot of accent cabinets. So it was like they would have like more of a live edge look on the front, and then they would overlay with like a fluted texture over top. And it just made that extra texture, like make the accent cabinet go from like, oh, this is a live edge accent cabinet that's like a thing, right? To like, oh, this is like extra special and a little bit of glitter. So the fluted was all over the accent cabinets, accent tables, dining tables, the lamp shades. So the fluted kind of channeled look is really, really popular.
And I'm kind of glad to see something elevating beyond the live edge. I feel like we've been at the live edge for such a long time that I'm ready to kind of wrap that up and move into something more sophisticated and just kind of new and exciting, to be completely honest with you. Speaking of things that are on their way out, what else is on its way out? Like, what else did you see that is headed out the door or just minimizing?
Out the door, Farmhouse. I'm happy to see the season change on that one. So the whitewashed everything, the turquoise. We're moving past that. You have a couple of vendors that still have a splash of it, but a couple of big ones that usually like that was their bread and butter, to see that farmhouse look. And it was like their entire showroom. Like I went into some of those showrooms and it was like bare bones. And I was like, oh, like, well, here we are. It's like, we're moving on from this. So that's, again, I think kind of exciting. Not because I don't like it, but it's, I'm over it. Like it's been how many years? So that, and then the gray, the cool tones, we're moving past it. The new introductions on stationery, I feel like we're all warm tones. And you have probably, a 10 to 15% still in those grays, which will always be because they're tried and true. But the mass of it, we're lifting our heads out of the fog.
I'm so glad to see us, and nothing against Farmhouse, and it will morph. What is it morphing into? Is it just becoming, a few years ago, someone had asked me like, where do we go after Farmhouse? And I said, well, it's going to turn into a Scandinavian mix in some way. It's going to be a simplified, pared down, cleaner line Farmhouse. That being said, I almost feel like that's coming and going. Where do you see Farmhouse going? Like, what is it turning toward instead?
I feel like they're just getting more on board with like the modern finishes. So it's like, if it is like a heavy grain, it's like very like cowboy modern. So instead of it just being whitewash and the heavy texture of like the live edge, we're pairing that with a fluted bottom, or we're pairing that with like a metal black base. So I'm calling it like, it's very Montana, very cowboy, but modern. So we'll have a live edge. Like there's this one table, it's like a live edge, very art piece, very dramatic, but instead of it being like a wood, they painted it black. So it's still there, just updated in the finishes to be more contemporary.
I really like that. I really love that. Okay, so if I'm a designer and I'm sitting here and I'm going, gosh, Vegas sounds like it was amazing. This is everything I needed infused into my creative pot. But I also understand there's High
Yeah.
Point, and that's a totally different market. Let's do a side by side comparison for folks who are struggling with that of like, I'm going to pick one market to go to. Which one should it be and why? Does the seasonality of it matter? Do I go in the spring? Do I go in the fall? Because I mean, you, like I said, you've gone to both, like, and have brought those trends in. I love seeing them integrated into what you create for our clients. Like, what would you say to a designer who's struggling through that right now?
I personally really enjoy Vegas. It's logistically easier to get to. The accessory vendors and the small accent furniture vendors there are crushing it. Four
Nice.
Hands just redid their showroom there, so it's bigger, and they started to show their outdoor furniture, which is the hardest part. Like most people go to Atlanta for that, but it was nice to see them expand their showroom in that way. Phillips Collection was still there, and they do phenomenal pieces, especially if you're looking for oversized. So, I mean, I feel like Vegas, if you're looking for accents and accent furniture and some of those kind of like unique vendors in that regard,
Yep.
I would go to Vegas. If you're looking for like more, I feel like there's more lighting in High Point. So it really kind of depends on like what you're on the hunt for. But the my one issue with High Point, it's just hard to get to. Like it's hard to
It's
go there. The
so
hotels are hard. Logistically, it's
hard.
hard. It's more expensive. It takes a ton of time. So I feel like the networking and everything in Las Vegas, and if you're looking for like accent pieces, Vegas is still my go-to. Um,
I love that
just
because I feel
overall,
like
it's just
that's what,
easier.
yeah, I feel like that's what designers are looking for is that we have our basic lines that we love to work with, but then you need the glitter.
Hmm.
And just as is the case with glitter, too much is a bad thing, but you need those special pops that do add to these trends that make your designs relevant, that bring them up to date and keep you current and moving even forward and beyond that. And this is a great place to do that.
Hmm.
I love that you brought up
Yeah.
networking because I think we can see going to market for trends, going for vendors, going for whatever, but there's a bunch of other things that go on in market if you haven't been specifically
Oh,
market in
totally.
Vegas. Talk us through that and the value add that can be to your firm and to establishing you as a subject matter expert when you're speaking to your clients.
Yeah, the people who are going to Vegas, I feel like the vendors that are there aren't just, merchandise, aren't just soft goods. There were a ton of pop-ups for like marketing specialists and adding technology into your showroom, if you have it, or how to add in like pods were there, like that we saw at NeoCon. They were on the
Yes.
first, I believe it was first floor of A. And so it was nice to see them there because I hadn't seen that kind of pod introduced very heavily. So I saw a ton of that. So it's
Nice.
taking certain designs just next level and just being able to talk to those people in person and see some of those like marketing tools for not only your business, but
Yes.
also if you're helping your client, depending on the application. Like I met a ton of cool people that they are going to really help give the resources, and being able to like shake a hand and give a card and say this is who I am instead of trying to like track someone down, especially for marketing, I
Yes.
felt like was easy. And they had all of the things that you could look at. It's like if you need, this kind of like custom signage, they just have so much in-depth knowledge that isn't always related on their website. So yeah, all those people are there. It was phenomenal.
Well, I feel like it's a one-stop shop. Like everybody shows up and the
Yeah.
ability, like what you can get done in 2 days is so ridiculously significant compared to what you would get done just sitting behind your machine as you're clicking or scrolling through a site
Hmm.
versus just walking a showroom. And it's not like you have to drive showroom to showroom to showroom. Like they're all there waiting for you, which is super duper helpful. And
Exactly.
even vendors you're having a
Exactly.
hard time getting established with. We use the market for that. We've had a hard
Hmm.
time reaching some of the bigger vendors that we wanted to get established with. And it's like they don't want you to find them and set up an account with them because they probably get residential people who are trying to do it themselves and they're not even real firms coming in. And so they've made it very difficult intentionally to even set up an account with them. But you go to market and you're like, hey, I'm here, I'm vetted, I'm at market, this is what I need done. They're like, oh, hi, we'd love to do business with you. And you're like,
Hi.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah, exactly. Like, I've waited so long to shake your hand. You know how many times I've been on your website and used your email
Yes.
form and haven't found you. It's so nice to actually see you're a live, living human breathing human being. Yeah. And so I think that's a great thing too. If you go into market, and we always peruse the website beforehand. Who are the exhibitors that are going to be there, and who do we want to single out, or who do we want to capture? Or we've been having a hard time with this vendor. We should go to market and say, hey, we're here. This is what has been our pinch point in working with you. How do we get through that pinch point? There's just something about sitting face to face that is so different.
Totally. Agreed.
Yeah. And then also you brought us back something really cool, which I'm really excited to share with everybody. You're talking about all these colors. You went and matched the trending colors to Sherwin-Williams paint colors just for you, our audience. And I'm so excited to share this with you. So what is so great is we are going to put that back in the studio again. It'll be a link in the show notes where you can go and download, and it's going to be open to all of our key holders at no additional charge. So if you're a key holder, that's awesome. You're going to get this like you've been to market, but we're going to have those Sherwin-Williams paint colors matched to every one of these colors that Di is talking about, so that you have that resource. So even if you haven't been to market, you feel like you've been there and you can sell that to your clients, which is going to be great. I'm super duper excited about that. What else are we missing in the conversation about Vegas trends, the value of market, anything else that if you're a designer, even down to it's going to take this long to register and make sure and wear your tennis shoes, that people need to know if they've never been to market before? Hey friends, I am so thrilled to introduce you to an exciting launch that my team and I have been pouring our hearts into. Meet the studio. As someone who's been in your shoes, I understand the challenges of starting and running a successful interior design firm. That's why we have meticulously crafted the studio. What is it, you're asking yourself? I'm so glad you did. It is a dynamic virtual design center created specifically for design professionals only. Imagine having access to an extensive library of tools and templates meticulously designed to streamline your business processes, from client contracts to project management templates. We've covered the bases to ensure you have more time to focus on what you love designing, right? But that's not all. The studio isn't just a resource center, it's also a vibrant community. Participate in our interactive workshops where you can learn new skills and strategies directly from industry experts. And let's not forget the community forum. This is a space for you to connect, share, and grow with fellow designers. Each month, we host a live Q&A session where I, alongside other industry veterans, answer your burning questions, providing personalized guidance to help you navigate the complexities of the ever-changing, am I right, design business world. We put in countless hours drawing from our own experiences and expertise to assemble these resources. You're probably asking yourself, why? Because we believe in the power of community and the incredible potential of each and every interior designer out there. So if you're ready to take your interior design business to the next level, join us at the studio. Let's embark on this exciting journey together where your success is our mission. Check out the show notes for more information or go to www.colorworks.coach and click on the studio. We can't wait to see you inside.
I would say just map out your plan. All of that information about where the vendors are within A, B, and C building are all online. So I always make a plan so that when you're trying to navigate all of the floors, it's like, okay, we're going to start in A building and work our way over because there are skywalks. So I always start at the top and work my way down. Personally, just because it's easier for the elevator ride and then hitting all
My
of those.
body
But I would
works
just
better
map it
with
out.
gravity.
Yeah, exactly. Like by the end of it, like you can really, as far as like time wise, right? Like time is money and we're all busy. But if you can carve out even just 2 days, if you're not buying, I think 2 days is applicable to be able to walk the handful of showrooms you want to walk, go explore the top tier, go explore the convention, like the tents they used to be called. They're not tents anymore, but those small vendors, like carve out like a few hours to walk those, because those are where those little gems are. Like if you're able to go up to the 14th floor on, you know, B building, I can't remember what exact floor it is, but they have like all the book vendors. So if you're looking for like coffee table books and you're looking for those types of like small accents that usually are a little bit more challenging to find, especially with the big vendors, to get it all grouped into one, like carve out a few hours to go to walk the small guys and see what's out there. But yeah, just have a plan of your building so it'll go a lot smoother. You won't be wasting time trying to figure it out. But then also utilize the great staff that's on those first floors. Like the information center, like there was one that you told me it was a vendor we wanted to see, but it was like, said it was on like floor 17. I'm like, there's no way. Like, there's no way this vendor is on floor 17, like really too high. So utilizing the great people who work there because they will help guide you if you get turned around if it's your first time. Yeah, and wear tennis shoes because it's a lot. And everyone who's been to market at least once, I feel like if you're not wearing tennis shoes, they're like, oh, this is your first time. Oh, like
I will tell you, you
you're
will
gonna
out
be hurt
yourself
by the rest of
so
this.
quickly. Yes, if
Yeah,
you show up in dress shoes,
hard.
like do not. Everyone will go, oh,
Yeah.
it
So
is their
it's not
first
worth
time to
it.
market. No, show up. Bring your
Yeah,
snacks.
don't
Bring
do it.
your water bottle. It's
Yep.
kind of like a glamping trip. Like you need to show up with all of the
Yep.
accoutrements that you need to survive a day in the design wilderness because it's as
Yep.
full as
Pretty
you want to
much.
make it, right? And especially because
Yeah.
especially at lunchtime, like food vendors get stacked and I'd rather just have apple granola bar. We're going to keep moving. We have more stuff to do and then we'll go out for a great
Yeah, it's
dinner,
like
kick our
time.
heels up,
Hmm.
have a glass of wine.
Exactly. Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. The last thing so this was the first time I did this at market, and I was like, oh, well, I feel like now I'm going to do this every time. So I stayed off Fremont Street this time. I didn't stay on the strip, and normally I stay on the strip and then utilize the free shuttles and like shuttle back and forth
Yeah.
to market. But because of where I was staying, I could just walk my little self over there. And I didn't have to deal with the shuttles. I didn't have to deal with the cab line. I didn't have to figure out Uber. Like I just walked myself over there. And then at the end of the day, when I was actually like tired, it's like then I would catch the shuttle and the shuttle took 12 seconds to get to Fremont Street where I was staying. And yeah, then we went out for a nice dinner. So
Yeah.
even though it wasn't aesthetically maybe where I would have preferred to stay, because, you know, like it's fun to see all the, you know, big hotels, but the convenience of it, girl, I'm telling you, never again. Like I'll stay down there every time. It was so much easier and just
Yeah.
efficient. So
Well, and I
that
think
would be
that
like my hot take.
hot take. Don't worry. You're not coming for the architecture of Vegas necessarily. Like if you're really coming here to do market, bring your tennis shoes, bring your socks, stay in the little
Yeah,
grittier place
pretty much.
that's super adjacent and
Yep.
like bear down and do market. That's like
So much
how
easier.
Di and I, this is why when we, when we do markets together at conferences, it's like Ninja Warrior conferencing, but I just feel like if you're there, you should make the most of your time. And if you are there and you want to go see the Bellagio lobby, like knock yourself out. But like, if you're really there to just do marketing, get in and get out and get what you need to for your firm, like show up in the comfy clothes. No one has any shame about your elastic waistband in those cute little fabletic leggings. And we're just going to haul. It's about comfort and getting in and getting
Yeah.
out. And that's how we
Get it
like to
done.
play.
Hmm.
Totally.
Yeah.
One thing that I want to make sure address too is the whole idea of sustainability. I'm seeing it more and more as we're watching the Facebook interactions in groups as far as designers. And it's my client wants to work with a sustainable cabinet company. My client, what did you see as far as sustainability and how hard is that being pushed at market?
Honestly, it wasn't being pushed that hard this market. I feel like there are some markets where it
Okay.
really hits you over the head with like
Totally.
this is where this is sourced, you know, and the showroom's POP and all of that. Like, but it was more of a just like this. I almost wonder if it's just like an assumed at this point because we've done
Yeah.
that. We've said those words like these rugs are made out of plastic water bottles. Like this is the line for that. This is the line where these are made in the United States. Like that POP is
Yep.
still there, but I feel like the last two markets, like that was like everyone's like window. It was like, you know, with the water bottles going down or like that story being told
Mhm.
in their marketing. So I feel like they're like, okay, we did that. So now you know. So now we're like not going to showcase that as much. I mean, it was still there, but honestly, it wasn't as talked about this market for
Well,
better or worse, I guess.
Well, it almost feels like it's become not a value add, but an assumed. Like we've gotten to the point in society where we're
Right,
expecting
exactly.
that, yes, please tell me I have
Right,
plastic water bottles in my shoes. Thank you. Is it Rothy's? And that my carpet has some level of
right,
recycled fibers and my clothes should be. There's a huge push by H&M right now to have a certain percentage of their new textiles because they've been branded as like the poster child of fast
right.
fashion. So now they're trying to back that image up a bit. Yeah, it seems like all that has become more like it's
Hmm.
not a consumer
Yeah,
request, it's a consumer assumed.
a standard. Yeah,
A
exactly. It's
standard.
just a standard. And if you're not that way and we find out, then it's going to be a whole different conversation of like, well, what do you mean you're not treating your factory workers well? Or what do you mean you're sourcing this wood that you shouldn't be sourcing? Like, so
Yeah.
it's, yeah, very much just now a standard, it feels like. So
And you brought up window design. I want to tease that out for a second. What are you seeing in the window designs? Because I always feel like that's a really good snapshot when you walk of kind of like, what are the trends? Was it just all over the board? Or were you seeing some trends in
yeah,
what people were showcasing?
it was kind of all over the board, to be honest. Like the front entryway of a lot of the vendors I went to, again, were the warm tones, the heavy textures, the
Mm-hmm.
oatmeals with the bear, just kind of showing off those
Mm-hmm.
features. And I saw actually a lot of antiqued gold, which I was a little bit surprised by because I really thought that was going to go more
Yeah.
silver. I just don't
Yeah.
think we're there yet. I think silver may be more of a July market, so summer
I was going
market,
to
because
say.
it just is now, starting. So it was a little bit all over the place. The rug manufacturers, they were really highlighting a lot of color. Like one of them had
Okay.
like the pinks, the orange, and the green within like their wovens.
Ooh.
So I saw a lot of that from like the textile side, but the furniture side was really just all over, depending on, who the manufacturer was. So I want to say there was a specific.
And one final question for you that we always love to ask because you're so good about finding one random little vendor who is a sweetheart little vendor doing something really cool. Like last time you were in Vegas, you brought us back
Yeah.
this awesome awesome coffee book company that was doing these huge coffee table books, and just had really neat resources. Did you find a nugget like that this time that you're like, oh, this is going to be fun to integrate that is worth our viewership taking a look at?
I would say the one, and I found them last market, and they're relatively, like, I don't know that they're like a super small vendor, but Phillips Collection, they
Okay.
had these like wood sculpture type esque things. Like, I don't
Ooh,
even know
pretty.
what you would call them because I've never seen them before, but they were all custom and they were all individual. So they were selling them off the floor and then they were doing reproduction of them. I'll put the picture in them, but that company, I feel like if you're looking for a showstopper, if you're looking for
Mm-hmm.
something that is like going to be in an entry, or like you have, really high ceilings and you need something to really have some drama there, like that company is doing such great artwork in
I love
scale.
that.
And they're also doing like metal sculptured pieces that you can like attach to like the wall. And so in my head, I'm just like, this is what an entryway, is in need of, especially when you're looking for scale. So I would say they're one that was really top of my list, and I'll include the pictures on that one. But they were phenomenal, and like for them to have enough business sense to say, okay, these ones are our custom ones, and you can buy them on our showroom if you're looking for like a very specific client, but also to say, hey, also, we recognize that you might be on a budget or your client may be on the fence on this, so we need to make sure that it's mass produced. Like to be able to see the trend here and then manufacture it, I thought was so wise because you
Yes.
have to fit into that budget and you have to have that kind of like resource, and it's not just one and done because the process can take a long time sometimes. So like that to me was like a no-brainer, and it was in their window, and then I saw it and I was like not going to go in there like at that exact minute, but I was like, now I have to go in there. Like it caught my eye, and the
It did
gentleman
its
that was
job.
helping me was like so nice. Yeah, exactly. So it sold itself.
I love this. This is such a good conversation. Thank you for taking us to market virtually. This is all the things. My creative juices feel juiced. I love hearing, especially when I don't have to go put 5 miles on my fitness watch. I love hearing about this. I'm 100% here for it. And we will have all of these resources for everyone down in the show notes. We're so excited. Thank you, Di. This is another reason we are so lucky to have you
Thank
on our
you.
team. Thank you. I am loving today's colorful question. Okay, what do I do if a client wants to come to market with me or has friends offer to take them to market? Oh, such a good question because we've all been there. This is my answer in short. 2 words. It depends. It depends. So we all know it's all about the client, right? What type of client are you dealing with? Is it a client who's going to go to market and they want to go there because they want to figure out all of the costs? They want to figure out and walk all of the showrooms. And are you okay making your trip to market all about them? Because that's probably the customer service experience they're expecting. Also, is their budget large enough? It warrants taking them to market. That is the big question. I will personally tell you, I am not a fan of taking clients to market. My job is to curate for them, to provide them with what they need. Once again, it comes back to depends. If you have an exceptionally difficult client and they need to go figure it out themselves and maybe they don't get overwhelmed by the choices, then possibly yes. However, in doing this for nearly 20 years, I have never taken a client to market. My policy is that I'm there to figure this out for you. That's why you hired me, and you're welcome to shoot down anything that you need to in the plan, and we'll revisit it. So use your discretion. It's not a hard yes. It's not a hard no. Once again, like everything in business, it's about knowing your target market, meeting them where they're at, and doing right by them while still protecting your business and what you do. So when they refer a friend, that friend isn't automatically expecting to go to market either. So once again, clear communication with the client. I don't normally take clients to market, but this time I'm willing to do so. This is a special case so that when they do give you that referral, there's not an expectation of that if you choose. Or I think it's very fair to say to the client, I love that you want to go to market. That's why you hired me. I'm here to do all the dirty work for you. It's long days. It's 5 to 6 miles of walking. At least that's what my smartwatch shows me when I go. And water, snacks, all of that. You need to come prepared because it is an event. Thanks for the great question. If you have a different response, I want to hear about it. Drop it into one of our socials, DM me. I would love to hear what you're thinking. And if you have a different perspective, that's what this is all about. Thanks again for the great question.